MCP is a protocol that enables communication between agentic system and other third-party application. Connecting our Claude instance to our n8n instance will enable Claude to do many things. This means that we can then have our Claude create workflows for us, but more importantly, we can have Claude run these workflows for us as if they were tools for this MCP server. Now, maybe a little bit of context could be useful if you never heard the term MCP server or if you're not familiar with how agents work. You can think of it this way. First, a little disclaimer, we should never anthropomorphize AI. Keep in mind, these are systems, algorithms, and so on. These are not actual people, but sometimes using people metaphor can help us understand how things work. Let's try to frame it this way. If you think about an AI agent as someone or something that works for you, then an MCP server is basically a toolbox that you give to this employee in order for the employee to be able to do the job that is tasked with. So let's say that I want to have some kind of a carpenter fixing things around my house. I will have to provide a toolbox with screwdrivers and drills and so on. An MCP server is basically that, but instead of physical tools, they are digital tools that enable our agent to do things instead of us in different systems. Google Drive MCP server enables your agent to search between your folders on Google Drive to create files, download files, and so on and so forth. The amount of tools available in every MCP server is different, and you can select the tools that you want the agent to use inside of an MCP server and the tools that you don't want the agent to use. This is especially important because of AI Act and regulation on data and privacy, because sometimes giving access to everything, it's not the smartest idea. So the first thing you need to do is you need to have some kind of a Claude instance. Just open your Claude, bottom left, you will find settings, and in settings you will find connectors. You will get this message, connectors have moved to customize, just click that, and you see we got the list of connectors. We'll talk about tabulae in another video, pretty useful. So connectors, you hit plus, browse connectors, and you look for n8n. There we go, you click on it, you click connect, and now it's asking, paste the server URL in here. How do you get that? Let's move back to our n8n instance, and in here, once again, we'll go to settings, instance level MCP, enable MCP access, and you will see this server URL. You copy it, then you move back to customize in Claude, and you paste the server URL. You hit continue, there we go, and you will get this authentication page. Just click allow, success, and this will bring you back to Claude. Now let's have a quick look at the tools that are inside this MCP server, our toolbox. You see we got this tool permission, and also in here we can select which tools need approval, which tools are blocked, and which tools are always allowed. In my case, I will always keep needs approval for everything. So we got some read-only tools, for example, get execution, no definition, SDK reference, which is used by Claude to create workflows for us by following the official documentation, and so on. We also got some very interesting write/delete tools. We got something that allows Claude to work with data tables, more on that in different tutorials. And we also got something like execute workflow, publish workflow, and unpublish workflow, also updating, and so on. But let's see it in action. To list our n8n workflows, let's see what it does. It's going to think about it, and then it will look for available tools, and then it will find some available tools. So the n8n tools that loaded only cover credentials and so on. Then it's going to search a bit better, and you see it found something. Claude wants to use search workflows from n8n. Now he's asking me to always allow, but if I don't want to, I'll just click on the drop down and I will allow just this once. The first time you're using MCP servers, I suggest you never always allow a tool, because this way you never really get an understanding of what's going on behind the hood. Anyways, we see that our Claude actually did something now. So it loaded the tools, used the n8n integration, and here's the response. So we got boring agent, the Telegram bot, and so on and so forth. If I move back to n8n and I go to my overview, we see that we actually got this boring agent, Telegram bot, and so on and so forth. Let's take it a step forward. Let's look at my boring agent, which is the workflow that we used in our build your own agent tutorial. You see this node, this workflow is not commented, so there's no way to actually understand at a quick glance what's going on. Let's fix that with Claude. So I'm gonna copy the name, go back in Claude, and you add sticky notes with documentation. Let's see what it does. Okay, so we see that Claude is doing something, but it's telling me in order to do that, I need the exact ID of the workflow. Let's provide it. We just move back in our n8n instance, and we will see that the ID is this string that it's on. That is after workflow slash. We copy this, move back to Claude. Here it is. And let's see what it does. So Claude wants to use get workflow details. Let's say allow once. And now we got this message from Claude. Basically it's saying, okay, the workflow ID works, but my n8n instance is blocking the MCP access to it. This is pretty cool because it means that by default, Claude or any other agent does not have direct access to your workflows. You need to enable it. To do so, let's move back to n8n, to our workflow, and we'll find these three dots, which is the settings. Click on it, settings, we will look for available in MCP. You see this is flagged off by default. Let's flag it on. Let's hit save. Now once again move back into the settings of our n8n instance, the MCP one, and you see that now we got this available. So move back to Claude and we can ask him, try again, I enable access to it. Once again, you see, since we are always allowing just once, every time we want to do something, he's asking us. As I said, if this is your first time using MCP servers or MCP tool, I suggest that you never use always allow, as in this way you have a clearer understanding of what's going on under the hood. And while Claude is working for us, I'm here to remind you that if you are enjoying this content, please leave a comment, subscribe, leave a like, all the good stuff. This really helps me out as an emerging content creator. Also, if you have got any question or something that is not clear, please let me know in the comments. I love answering the questions. So we see that something happened. What Claude did is it created this JSON for us that we can copy, move back into our workflow, and ideally we can paste it. There we go. And we got our sticky notes. But what I wanted is I wanted Claude to actually create the sticky notes in the workflow for me. So let's try to be a bit more explicit. And let's ask, can you add them to the workflow for me? And now we see that Claude wants to update the workflow for me. I will accept this once. So it's saying done, all 4 sticky notes are now in the boring agent workflow, and so on. Let's see if it's true. Moving back in here, and we actually see this. So this is how you can connect n8n to Claude and have Claude create some kind of workflows for you. The same thing works with Codex, Gemini, Mistral, every other AI agent or system that allows for MCP access. Keep in mind that the MCP server of n8n is still in the beta version. So sometimes, as you saw with this video, Claude like this, it was like, oh no, I don't have access to it. But then I said bruh, you got access. And then I explained once again the various tools, and now it's like, oh yes, you're right. I guess I do, I'm right. And anyways, this is one way in which you can quickly prototype solutions, or you can, keep an eye on the executions of your workflows that are already in production, and so on and so forth. So if you followed up until here, well then congratulations. You just connected your n8n instance to your Claude instance. Once again, if you got any question, please let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next time on Learn n8n Pragmatically. Bye!